So let's see what the Academy teams are going to do throughout their split. But we need to jump into the first game, which means we need to understand MNM versus X7. So this is why we had a few words with the players from MNM to understand where they want to go and what do they think about X7. Take a look.
I think most players' goals, if they're playing at this level, should be, you know, to win or to go to E Masters, I think. You know, it's the best tournament in the era to showcase what you can do. You know, I want to win, so we're putting in the work to win. To go to E Masters, you know, you can get scouted there. If you do well at E Masters, you know, it's good for LEC, for example.
And my goals is generally to perform better than last split. Last split didn't really go as planned, and I really want to prove to everyone that I'm good enough.
For MNM personally, I have really high expectations. Maybe some people will judge us as not the best in each row on paper, but we have a really similar way of viewing the game, and we've the similar same with the coach, and that's why we were brought together.
On paper, our team is definitely not the best, and I think we're rated quite low, but I think people will be surprised about how well we do during the split. I think everyone's here, you know, to win. Everyone's here to try hard, and it's not uncommon for teams to, you know, fall off by the end of the split, be it due to bad environment or, I know, other factors. For example, you take last NLC split with XL going out early to Riddle. XL was supposed to be the second best team or the first best team. They go out to Riddle, and then you then think, oh wait, Riddle can get far, but then Riddle go out. So it's like nothing's really predictable, basically.
And I think Attila is gonna be fun to play versus, because he has a lot of experience playing competitive, so it's always fun to go up against the best players.
I think if you do well and can hold up against Tempt in mid lane, then you can really solidify yourself as a good mid laner, and that's what I want to prove.
I think they might be a bit worse because, in my opinion, Haru was just so fucking good. And now when they lost Haru, maybe it will be a bit worse, but I still think they will be top performance in the NLC for sure.
I think overall X7 isn't as good as it was last split, purely because I think Haru was probably one of the best players in all of year out, if not the best. I still think they will be the best team in the league, but I don't think they'll be as dominant as they were before. I'm really excited to play them in the first week just to prove that I deserve to be here, I belong here, and I can compete at the top.
I think Pantheon Jungle, but he's been nerfed. So I would love Pantheon Jungle to come back. I think he would be even worse on this new patch. New patches ago, they changed Panth, put him back into top rather than jungle, and I think that sucks. So yeah, but if there was a champ, I'd choose him for sure.
MNM are hungry. They said some words that we're going to talk about in a few minutes, but I want to discuss now this composition of MNM. They have on the top lane Kalim, Sof in the jungle, really hungry by the way, Kimet in the mid lane, Michigo returning alongside with Shredder as a support. And even though it was a tough game on day one, they're feeling comfortable. And maybe you can talk about this. They told me, okay, we lost, we got stomped, but we're feeling good. And that is a good sentiment, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, for me, if you have to choose between getting stomped and playing a really close game that you lose in the end,
okay,
I kind of prefer getting stomped because the result is the same, but it's just way easier in your mental state. In the end, if you get stomped, you kind of have something clear you can work on. But if it's such a close game, you're going to come down to all the little details. We can do this differently, we can do that differently, but in the end, you're not going to reach the same conclusion, I think. But yeah.
I like the idea. It's not everybody that can say, well, I prefer to get stomped than have a close game, because at least now you know what to work upon. And tell me, Trouble, where do you believe they can take X7? It's not an easy game.
No, and I think the top side of MNM has played together before. Kalim, Chimera, and Sof returning to the NLC as well. They've played together before. They've tried to qualify for NLC fall as well. They didn't manage it, but at least they have played together as a team for one split, if I'm not wrong. So it seems like the top side of the map at least has some cohesion. Michigo has known the league for so long. He's been here for the longest time. So I think they're not going to have a problem integrating Shredder into the team as well.
Okay, so this is the roster from MNM. And they said something really important that I want to debate now. X7 are looking way worse than they did in Spring Split.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. People are raising red flags, right? They're like, oh no, these are the NLC champions, the guys who didn't even make it to the finals of each
Panic.
Masters, by the way. Panic button, press it. But I think, okay, first of all, they were playing with a sub, which was slow queue in the mid lane. And I know that's not an excuse because slow queue and MC played together in Riddle in the previous split, but also we have to take into consideration Haru leaving the team, and Haru was such an integral part of how this team functioned.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I love MC. I love the guy. I think he's super talented.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. thank you. MC fan club. He's so good, I think, at creating leads and just he's really smart about pathing and all that. But I also think Haru was probably, as the guy said, probably one of the best players, if not the best, in all of ARLs. This guy was just on a tier above everyone else. Just playing with this guy in solo queue, European solo queue, Korean solo queue, seeing everywhere. He's just fantastic at adapting on the fly. He doesn't really come in with a set game plan. I mean, he does come in with a game plan, right? But he's really good at witnessing what's happening in the game and adapting to it. If he sees the lane is volatile, he's going to go there. He's going to pick up the free kill. Because a lot of junglers, they make a plan in the beginning of the game and they stick to it. But he is very flexible and he's very smart about what he needs to do.
And I love that we're bringing like a pro player and his view into this game, because we talked about Haru like this the entire split. We're like, this guy will be top, mid and bot at the same time. They cannot search where he is at any point. And if they do, he'll create on the fly something to get some advantage on the map, which a lot of people will not be able to do so fast like Haru does. And it's so interesting to see that Finn actually comes up with this conclusion by just, playing solo queue or playing some scrims against Haru. It's just great to see.
If I may, there's two things. First of all, you have to play him. You have to play against him now. So you need to understand how he's going to play.
I do, yeah.
Also, I do believe you're one of the most knowledgeable players right now at LEC. I'm not saying this because you're here. I actually agree with this. So obviously, he brings the plan to understand what Haru is playing. But now if you're looking into Haru, there's no more Haru, there's MC. Is it still the same with Tim? Because Tim is back.
So here's the thing, right? MC has a very particular champion pool that needs to be complemented by the mid laner. And Slowcube was that mid laner that had Yones, Aurelias, Tristanas, Lucians, Yasuos, the AD champions that would complement MC's Nidalee, Rumble, Diana, all the AP champions that he wants to play. Now, Tempt is an absolute beast in the mid lane, but I have not necessarily seen all the AD champions coming up his pool, right? Now, don't get me wrong, Tempt is a legend, and in EU Masters, he had an absolute insane performance, as you can see on the stats on your screen right now, almost 30% damage percentage of his team. That is absolutely massive, always ahead at 15. His damage per minute was also insane. I remember, I was sitting there watching him actually, and he picks Azir, and I'm like, oh, what a resident sleeper pick. We're literally just gonna fall asleep. And this guy started solo killing people at level 3.
And that guy's pretty good at League of Legends. I watched him play, I watched the stats. Like, this guy is obviously very experienced. He played in LCK, and now he's in NLC. He's just stomping kids,
I love
like another Saturday for him.
For your take, what do you believe X7 is now? What is this team? What is your take at X7?
Well, I have big questions around the top lane. I need to see Chase do a little bit more. I don't really know who he is. I don't really know him. So I want to see what they can bring. Like, I think if you're coming from Korean, obviously they got him here because they believe he can do well. So I want to see him like put some people in the dirt, play some carries, stomp some kids, and I want to see the team like kind of develop an identity, because when you have players like MC, Tam, Attila as well to some degree, you have a lot of people that want resources, and in the end, someone has to sacrifice. Like, you can't just give resources to everyone. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to develop. Are they going to be like this team where everyone tries to get as much as they can, or is someone going to take the L and just play weak side or draft for lane priority while not like winning lane or anything?
So if I may, and I'm really sorry, Rebel, because I'm now so invested in this conversation, the idea that someone needs those resources, and this is a plan that you take before game, or do you adapt inside of the game?
Well, some adaptation is always important for sure, but usually what you can see from draft, where you want to put your energy and your time and your effort in the game. If you have an Ornn top and a Kalista bot, it's pretty clear. If you have an Astral bot and a Camille top, probably pretty clear
I
as
don't
well.
know, man. Your Ornn looked pretty clean last split. I'm just gonna say the tower dives were pretty good, so I would put attention into that Ornn. You know?
I mean, I had a year on Rogue where I had a full year of Ornn experience, so yeah, it is well practiced for sure.
By the way, there we go. We're jumping into the first champion select of the day. It's going to be MNM versus X7. MNM taking the blue side, X7 on the red side. I do believe everybody's talking about how strong is the blue side at this moment, right?
Obviously, this is not the rebuild patch, so we're still playing on the old patch, the MSI patch. So it's very important to pay in mind that the meta is actually quite similar to the MSI meta. So we'll see how these teams do. I see the Attila ban is quite common. I imagine a Wukong ban is going to come out as well. Probably the most popular jungler. There it is, the Wukong ban. On demand. Senna Graves getting picked off. Strong like 1-2 champions, but not any priority picks.
That's a surprise for me though, because that's
blue side.
usually a red side ban, because Lucian is so prominent right now, and it's a triple flex as well. You can flex him all over the map, and just keep him until the last pick to know where he's going, right? So it's very important to see that actually MNM are banning the Lucian away, which means that none of their laners want to actually commit to that pick.
It's a bit disappointing to see, I think, when you're banning a champion like that from blue side. It shows that you don't want to play it yourself, and you're scared of the enemy team playing it. So we do see the Nivea ban, which is very interesting. It really tells me that they want to pick some kind of low-range mage in the mid lane.
I'm just gonna bring in some context here. Chimera, insane main.
Okay. So
If we're talking about mains, Nidalee is open once again. They're not respecting the Nidalee. Nobody thinks it's a problem. M-Test said this.
With Gwen open, because they picked the first pick, they listened from the side of MNM, having chasing the top side and having him or something like the Gwen, you might not be able to go towards the Nidalee. Also, you're having Tempt back in the mid lane, which would reply to a lot of our questions, right? Does MC go towards the AP pick? What does Step complemented with? But as you can see, I think X7 are falling back to their old standards with a more scaling top side of the map, and maybe they can play around the mid-jungle synergy. But Xin Zhao, talk to me about it a little bit, Finn, because Xin Zhao's a little bit of like an oldie but a goodie.
Yes.
yeah, so there's some jungle bans right now, the Graves, the Wukong around, and they're picking the Lee Sin first.
Yeah.
So you're gonna get pulled down in the jungle pool a little bit. So the junglers that remain are like Xin Zhao, Viego, and Jarvan. So you have to kind of take your pick, and they chose the Xin Zhao here. I like it. I think Xin Zhao Gwen is a really annoying frontline to deal with because both have these huge fields of immunity. So as a backline, there's like a Gwen in her fog and there's a Xin Zhao with ult. Like, I can't hit, I can't do anything. And it's for being so squishy and doing so much damage, they're very tanky. So it can be a nuisance to deal with. We do see the GP is a common pick into Gwen. Has gone both ways. I think the Gwen is slightly favored.
It is, isn't it?
Especially in terms of execution. It's like way easier for the Gwen to perform in this matchup than a GP. But if the GP is very proficient and knows the matchup well, he can put the Gwen in the dirt. But it doesn't happen too often, from my experience.
You could say it could end up being a skill matchup in the top lane.
It is a complete skill matchup. It's actually one of the most skilled matchups, I would say, in the current meta. And you've seen people like lose both sides, you've seen people win both sides because it's just really volatile and the better player is rewarded.
I would expect a Lissandra ban because Chimera plays a lot of Lissandra, Syndra, and Anivia, right? And now you've locked in an Ahri. We saw in MSI how much Ahri picks suffered when Lissandra was put into the game, and it's gonna be the Vega ban instead. Which to me, if I was on the side of MNM, I would insta-lock the Lissandra right here. A lot of setup for your Lee Sin as well. You can accelerate your Lee Sin in the early game, and then you can have the Nautilus roam around. There's so much setup and so much CC to keep Tempt in place.
Yeah, I would imagine a Lissandra or Vex coming in here for MNM. I think either is fine, depends up to player preference mostly. Lissandra was very popular in MSI, obviously, because Xiao and Faker were just like performing so well in the champion. But it is going to be the Victor coming out, which is very unique, I would say. Did not expect that at all. This is not
Nobody
a hover. This is a lock, right?
This is a lock, yeah.
This is a lock.
I think it's a lock.
So that's.
It is a lock. Wait.
No, that's not a lock.
Nah, this
That's
is
not a lock.
over. This is over.
Let's not get baited there.
Okay. Victor is the lock.
The Victor is a lock, which is interesting because Ahri has really good gank setup into Victor. It's very hard for Victor to play once Ahri is 6 because if Ahri's Charmer comes mid, she dashes forward, she hits the charm, he dies. So he needs to, but he does win the early levels very hard. When he goes Ahri, he can poke with Q and E a lot and push the Ahri in. So we'll see how they perform around this.
So the jungler from MNM will deliver a lot of attention to the mid side to help Chimera pop off with Victor before Ahri gets a win.
I think it's important the Victor can push and play aggressive, so he needs vision to do that.
Okay, I just love what X7 are doing right here. Attila yet again on his infamous Ezreal, and then you have Chasey onto the Gwen on the side lane that can permanently scale into the late game, and then you can take this mid-jungle duo. We know how aggressive MC likes to play the game. We can see right now that the Ahri, after level 6, you shove in the lane versus the Victor, you move into Fog of War. Victor cannot follow you because a Zinza could be there, the Charm could be there. It's just so difficult for a control mate to follow you through Fog of War, and I'm thinking after level 6, we might see a lot of pressure on the map from Tempt.
So if I may, final words, Finn, and tell me who's going to take this one.
I think X7 just has a way easier game plan. They just have the Gwen on the top lane, which is eventually going to beat the GP. Sure, she might struggle a little bit early. She might go 10 CS down or whatever. But once she hits level 6, she has, if she goes Ignite, she has kill pressure. This moment that GP missteps, they have a very strong mid jungle in Ahri Xin Shao, and they have a very strong /weak side bot lane. I think for the bot lane they can play through it, but they don't need to necessarily. And it gives them a lot of options depending on how the game goes.
So it's a clean one for you. What about you, Treble?
I think I do like what X7 are bringing into the mix right now. I just want to see MC and how he coordinates this time with Tempt.
So it is clean for the analyst. Let's see what the casters are going to say as we jump for the first Summoner's Rift of Week 1, Day 2. Take it away, boys.
Pipsqueak, Bubbles, Condiment. There you go. That's what I'm going to say. Those are the words I came up with to begin with. You asked, I answered. There you go. I'm Initialized. I'm joined by M-Test. I've given M-Test the easiest intro ever there. How are you doing, my friend, after I've given you those incredible words to start with?
Good Initialized. And as you mentioned yesterday, I mean, on the Monday's cast, Trouble Link was kind of, you guys were kind of rude to each other. I feel like today we're going to have a love, we're going to have a bonding cast.
Thank you. See, this is the kind of friendship you see being built on air. It's beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, we've had some pretty beautiful thoughts about this game. Yeah, well, I'm going to encourage ourselves a little bit more. Very much a bot side focus for the side of MNM. You've drafted Samira. You know what that means. You want that Samira rolling. Other side, mid jungle from X7. Tempt on Ahri. Got a Xin Zhao to back that up. Sounds pretty scary.
Yeah, no, for sure. Right? You just look at the X7's comp and you just see that they have to kind of play through this mid jungle. On the other side, MNM kind of, they don't forfeit mid by picking the Victor, but just Victor leads into the likes of Xin Zhao, Ahri. It's gonna be quite hard for them, I think, to withstand the power that the mid jungle duo has from X7. On the other side, though, I see Michigan once again. He's playing on the Samira, right? A champion that has to snowball lane, and this is not the easiest task into Ezreal Braum, right? But if MNM is gonna have a game plan, they have a kind of scaling mid and top at the same time, and Michigan Shredder. They played, honestly, obviously they played Samir on Monday as well, right? And I didn't see any sort of proactivity on their side. This time around, though, it could be hard against the likes of Ezreal Braum.
And we'll call it out as well, of course. MNM had a bit of a rough first game back to the NLC. They've switched out most of their roster with the remainder of Mishigu being that one remaining member from Spring. MNM started Spring pretty well. We saw some great stuff, particularly out of that mid-jungle duo. They pushed X7 a massive way. They nearly caused X7 their first loss. They couldn't make it stick, and then we saw some coaching staff changes, and MNM kind of fell apart a bit, all things said and done. They've revamped for summer. They've come in, and their first game, all puns intended, was a bit of a curb stomp. That Darius was a monster. It made things very difficult. We have, however, got a level 1 invade, and that means we've got some action starting off as Nautilus lands a dredge line. MC's going to have to flash out early Ignite on. I think he's just dead. It's first blood to Sof, and that is exactly what MNM wanted to see.
Oh, that is rough for MC and the homies. They actually were...
Keep going. Attila has to flash. He's going to get hooked again. I think he's just dead as well. It's 2 to the Lee Sin.
Damn. I did not expect that right off the bat.
X7 was there. He wasn't topside. It was a 3v4.
Yeah, legit. Kalem, obviously... I mean, really well played, I guess, from GP, just knowing that if they go for the invade, which they can with the likes of Ezreal, Braum, and the Sims are really strong level 1.
Seems good, you're right, yeah.
Just a really good prediction there. Now, I said that you cannot really, it's hard to snowball bot when you're playing against this really safe bot lane of Attila and Kasing on the Ezreal Braum, but now Ezreal without flash, Sinsa without flash as well. It's now kind of up to Sof to be able to keep snowball this lead that he now has.
Well, you needed to see how they'd be able to pull it off. This is the way. You can see it's the 3-man stack. They start off the red buff, but Kalem is there. It makes it the 4v3. Shredder lands the hook, and from there, things get ugly for X7.
Yeah, I mean, you just see, look at the draft, and you see that Braum, you just... Braum is obviously a OP level 1 Ezreal as well, but when Kalem goes in like this, they just know they have the numbers and they know that they can win this fight. They also had both of the Michigan Shredder put both of their wards actually on the entrances there, so they knew what was going on, and I mean, it's really smart play from them. This is what you need to kind of take down X7 like this.
it is a big, big moment for them. And that is not what you want to see from X7, who, of course, had a rough game the first time round. They lost to XL. They're kind of rivals for large parts of Spring. And now you've got your kind of starting roster. It's here. It's together. And this is the level 1. That is not what you want to see. It cost them 1,000 gold pretty much at the beginning. It gets Sof on this Lee Sin, a snowboard lead. He can start impacting the rest of the map. You've got 2 assists on the Samira, which we were saying, look, that's into Ezreal Braum. That should be pretty hard to punish. You've already got a flash off Attila. He's died once. Kasing is going to be there, but he's Braum, right? He's not going to have that much pressure in lane, and that means bad things for the likes of MC, who is replacing Haru, lest I remind you, the former world champion, a man with an Ezreal skin in the game because he made Ezreal Jungle work, for crying out loud. Sof was looking for a bit of invade there, won't quite find it, but this Lee Sin is off to the races. MC, who got his Nidalee on Monday, couldn't make it work. He's in onto this game too with a Jhin Zhao, early pressure, dies level 1. That is rough stuff.
Yeah, that is rough stuff indeed. And you see now that MNM obviously is going to get the bot wave control like for the first levels. And that means that Shredder could recall early. He could go towards the top side that Sof was already have. They could have maybe gone for that invade, but they don't want to risk what they already have. Lee Sin, obviously, Sof already 2-0 on this Lee Sin. And now the good part is as well that when Shredder moves up to the top side like this, he gives Chimera pressure, right? He gives Chimera the window to push out mid. And that means that X7, their bot lane, they can't really dive Michigan alone. And now Shredder, obviously, is going to be back for the slow push, gonna be able to grab all that XP, and now it's gonna be up. This is kind of what one of my points that I had for MNM in their last game. They didn't really abuse the fact that they could use their slow pushes, and now I want to see they have the window now to do a slow push. Maybe they could, if they only take away the Gromp from MC, I want to see them do something proactive.
Use this early advantage, try and translate that into lane states, which means you can use your priority to make things happen in the jungle. Completely agree. Sof is going to start up, but he hasn't got that priority you were talking about. He's just gone straight in. He's going to get knocked up with a 3-talent strike, and a WQ from Tempt will secure a kill back. They didn't do all the steps. You just outlined them for it here. That was primarily what you don't do, as Chimera has to flash away from the charm to boot. It'll be a flash for flash, because of course Tempt flashed as well. But that is a pretty now vulnerable Victor.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, right, both mid lanes using their flash there for sure were for Tempt, who's going to get level 6 maybe on this next wave, and that's obviously just going to be better for him, right? But as I mentioned, Sof, they went for the invade, was really good. Now we...
Wait. It's not done. It's fighting all over again, but this is now a Braum here. They're going to try and get in. Samira's got that blade well rolling. Okay. Gets the kill. Could not get those passive stacks. So Kasing has to flash across the wall, and MNM do bite back. They get a kill onto the all-important Samira.
Yeah, so much action going on in this early game. I was gonna say that Sof, you just wanna play through your bot lane, right? You see they're so strong. They even could fight them 2 or 3, and they don't care. And they just have to use this bot side slow push that they are gonna be able to get. Chimera now without flash, as you mentioned, not gonna be able to have as much priority. And once again, they just have to be able to use this bot lane prior that Michigo and Shredder has.
See whether they can make it work. Of course, on Monday, it kind of didn't. We saw Shredder on the Alistair, and he just became a steak on the table for Darius to sort of fry up medium rare multiple times in that game. The Noxian Guillotine was working overtime in that one. This game, though, 3 really beautiful dredge lines already to secure 100% kill participation. Only 6 minutes into the game, which is great news. About a 500 gold lead. It was evened up a little bit after that kill came back, and some decent punishment as Attila is going to get hooked again. They are heat seeking. I was not expecting that, but clearly I should have been, as Shredder is shredding X7's chances in this game. Michigu's going to keep hopping forwards.
He's just dead.
He's just gone. I don't care what you've got. There'll be a little bit more flair and a double kill for this Samira. Now 3-0-2.
This is what I just love to see, right? We saw on Monday, MNM, they kind of, what I would call it, they lost in the worst fashionable possible, because you don't want to lose by just kind of bleeding out. You don't take any fights. You just kind of lose slowly. Today, it's a whole new, like a completely new MNM that steps onto the Rift. The Michigo Shredder only have like a couple of two kills under their belts. Really impressive.
Very, very good. And that was on Attila, not quite being quick enough with the fingers, honestly. Wasn't expecting the Nautilus in there, but that's a pretty standard Nautilus play. Hide in the bush and try and punish the AD carry as they shove the wave. You have to be aware that's coming. You're on Ezreal. You have an arcane shift, and it's just not enough. And that gets Kasing killed afterwards as well. And it's going to leave MNM now 5 kills to 1. Yes, they're only 1,000 gold lead, but the priority's been pretty huge as Kalem, with the wave in an awkward spot, has to use the ultimate to try and clear out some of those waves, and doesn't really get the barrel off either. He's very low on mana. Chasing in a very strong position in that lane. Look, 20 CS up in what is supposed to be arguably a counter matchup, even if Finn was saying there's a little bit more flippy than that.
Yeah, and Chasey obviously just coming from the challenge of LCK, like just proving that he can play whatever matchup he wants, and Calem obviously really struggling now already, down kind of what equivalents to 2 kills, and now he's gonna pick up the Sheen. It's gonna be a bit easier for him to lane, but Chasey, I mean, looking good so far. Now MC using the fact that Calem is not gonna be able to fight on the top side, and MC will just start up the Herald on spawn.
And that's what he's going to do. Knows that the bot side's a bit of a wash right now, but the top side is going exceptionally well. That's why the gold isn't actually as far apart as you may think. I think it's about 800 in the favor of MNM, but Camera and Sof are going to come over and prevent this being taken for free. Actually going to see some resets at X7 who decide not going to be able to do this one pretty well. And actually, might just end up being a leash for MNM as Sof is there with the level 6. Clear out that minion wave, and that's a dead Shredder out of nowhere. Not quite sure who picked that one up. I was not paying enough attention to that one as I was eyeing up the Herald. Still, that is another kill onto Tempt, looking at the scoreboard. Even so, still going to pick up that Herald regardless are MNM, even if it does come at the cost of Shredder, who was a little caught out in mid lane.
Yeah. And this could be, this would have been quite a big investment for MNM. Michigan, you know, left bot side to be able to come to this team, but the saving grace, Camera's TP, he's going to be able to pick up that bot wave. Now, even though Shredder, as you mentioned, kind of got, he didn't get caught in mid, he was actually engaging on mid.
Right, okay, that's what it was. I didn't quite catch it. There you go, thank you.
And he just died between towers, I think. It was really, I mean, I love to see it, you know, Shredder just playing completely aggressive. He wasn't able to kind of play aggressive on the Alistar against the Veigar on Monday this time, but this time around he's just playing, he just don't care, man. I just love to see it. It's gonna be interesting now though, because Sof has to kind of, he doesn't really have a lot of option, I feel like, in terms of the Herald. He cannot really put it on top side because Chase is obviously going to be so strong on this Gwen already. And for the mid, Tempt's going to have his flashback up. Chimera actually looking really solid so far as well on this Victor. But I just have to say that he has to go to the bot side, I feel like. They have to keep play through this.
You've got a Samira with 3 kills. I think you try and get more gold into them. It's come at the cost of a little bit of CS because there's been so much action that farming's kind of fallen a little by the wayside. But get that gold into inventory, get that Samira to her first couple items. You get that Immortal Shield Bow. I believe there's some current tech as well where you can kind of run towards an Infinity Edge second with a load of crit cloak stacking as well, which is apparently very dangerous. Let's see whether they pull up that strategy here today. The point is, Samira needs a couple items, give her more gold, she becomes even more dangerous. Thus far, good start from Michigan as Chasey does pop the ultimate on that top side, won't quite be able to find the kill even with the Ignite, but may well force out the flash, as seen, and we'll look for a reset as MC just hunting around to see whether there's a catch available, but won't be able to find the gangplank quite yet, but will force a recall all the way by the tier 2.
Yeah, and this is obviously the upside of GP, right? When you have that kind of barrage, you can just kind of pop it. But X7, they kind of recognize they cannot play through bot side, right? They just have to go for the top side. But now, since GP is actually in the game with it, no other champion would have saved that wave, the state that it was. And Chaser would have been able to probably pick up like 1 or maybe even 2 solo plates off of that if GP didn't have ulti. But now, just looks still really good for MNM. X7 forced to go for the cross map, right? They cannot go into the bot side. But MNM, I mean, they're not in a sizable lead yet, but just the fact that they came onto Monday, right? Felt like they were not able to play their comp. They couldn't really find any fights, and already in the first 11 minutes, they have more kills than they did in that 30-minute game.
Exactly what we wanted to see, especially from this new roster with a lot of players coming from the likes of Div 2. Kemera was on Monster Gaming last split, did really well in the regular season, and then couldn't quite make it all the way work in the playoffs. I apologize. There we go. Correct. But thus far, so good. And particularly for Michigan, the remaining member, right? 3-0-2 on the Samira, getting things rolling. Actually looking more like what the comp was supposed to do yesterday. But of course, on your side, X7's mid-jungle, at least the mid part of that duo, doing pretty well. Tempt back on stage, most CS in the game, 2 kills to their name, very ready to try and find a way to stabilize this game even more. Look, the gold is actually back in X7's favor because largely discrepancies in CS towards that top side.
Oh, yeah, JC already has the riff.
Oh, good grief.
Kalim is sitting on just components of his next item, and I mean, it just looks. I mean, I'm gonna be positive, right? MNM, you know, still looking good on this bot side, but Attila, despite being under so much pressure early, is 10 CS up. Is Chase gonna get caught now, though?
He has got a Hallowed Mist. He's got to be really quick with it. It's not quick enough. That means he gets hooked up and knocked down, potentially. Shredder gets that one. Well-deserved. And Chasey finds himself on the receiving end of a well-timed roam from Shredder.
Yes, and Shredder just, once again, he just kind of knows the wave state of the game. I mean, he knows that his Samira on the boss that cannot get punished, so I mean, he has free time. Just go up to the top side and make sure that Chasey cannot keep snowballing this lead that he has. This is really good for Kane, right? He's going to be able to kind of be being chilling now a bit at least until Chasey gets back onto the lane. And you were mentioning in the slides that Tempt are the 2-0 on this Ahri, feeling kind of comfortable. And this just... He has just been kind of a rock for the team, right? The last split time around as well. And this is kind of the difference that makes, even if you're playing with a sub as good as Slow Q is, Tempt is just another level, man. And now they're going to use this to invade the top side.
Tempt definitely making his presence felt here. We're going to see a little bit of invade onto the blue. Both those Kasing gets caught but throws up the door. Has got to stand beside me. Will use it with a barrel over the wall. Chunks out a lot of people. Cannon barrage afterwards. The HP bar is so damn low. Blue buff is taken. MC trying to heal up best he can. Does now full. But in comes Chasey trying to heal out. The needlework gets one back. It's a 1-for-1 right now. Flash charm from Tempt. Makes his namesake work for him right now. Charming indeed. Now Michigu's here. Flash for the blade well and gets on through. Wild rushing. Pulls the Inferno trigger. And a double to Sof.
You don't expect that. You don't expect Michigu to go up to his top side once he recalled, but he joins the fight and turns it. I thought Tempt and Chasey, they would just be able to kind of roll over that fight, but Michigu, really clutch play there. Obviously, Shredder flashes onto Tempt, who didn't have any charges left, and they're able to turn the fight. Really impressive.
Oh, I thought it was done, but a flash Wild Rush gets you in there, and suddenly you are all primed up to make it look like Dante from Devil May Cry. Inferno trigger pulled well and truly there. Still no Mythic, but well involved with all the kills thus far is Michigu's Samira.
Yeah, I mean, he's going for the Mercs now that I look at his items, which is, it's a bit interesting. I would probably go for maybe some sort of Hex Drinker on the third item, but I guess he just wants to get that Infinity Edge as fast as possible on the third. So, I mean, I guess respectable, probably not something that I would have thought about, but I mean, Michigan has been proving himself to be kind of a smart player. He plays a lot of different mages, actually plays Veigar, plays Victor, he builds kind of a lot of different things, so I respect it.
And I can see the argument in the sense of, look, you get some attack speed from using your E.
Yeah.
Actually, never mind that, we'll have to see a bit of a fight in mid lane. It's Tempt to try and get up, but just goes straight down. Sof gets a killing spree. 5-1-2 now on the Lee Sin. That first pick paying off dividends. Attila flashing away from the dredge side, but he's so damn low. So is MC. They're going to try and turn for that barrel. Does so much work. Kasing is dueling out with Michigu as the Herald is spawned, but that will be a very dead Santa Claus. No Christmas presents under the tree. It'll be coal under that one for MNM come the end of the year. But right now, they are just going to take their just desserts and eat it. A Rift Herald for them. 12-4 in the kills. 3,500 golds in the lead. Next 7 looking a bit lost.
I said that MNM, I said in the beginning, as soon as that level 1 happened, they don't care, and they still don't. They just go for Tempt. He gets kind of one-tapped, and after that, this is kind of shambles for X7. Attila's kind of forced to flash his way, and this is the first time in the game where we actually see a sizable goal lead for almost, my math is so bad, super bad.
It's an amount of gold.
It's an amount of gold, that is the case. And I mean, if they can keep doing this, this is such a momentum swing as well, right? And I just wanna highlight that ward onto the blast plant that MC couldn't take. I think it was Shredder. My man, this guy's MVP.
Shredder is having a phenomenal game, and Michigu 404, enemy health bar's not found right now. There is that first item, Immortal Shield Bow. Dirk's in inventory as well. You've called out the Merc Treads, and honestly, if you're going to be diving in that hard, it's double AP carries in your solo lanes. You've got a Braum who's going to be providing CC. If you feel you don't actually need that much attack speed because you're going to get from EA, and honestly, Samira wants to be using abilities more than basic attacks a lot of the time. I can see the wisdom, and Michigu is making it work at least right now, and X7 really need to stabilize. We're a long way away from something like a Soul being forced against them, but getting caught by hooks like that constantly is really problematic. It's going to block out the Glacial Fissure with the Blade. Well, Michigu styling on this one, goes golden, but it will not buy anything aside from a couple more seconds of life. Third time to the death chamber for Kasing. Herald number 2 is spotted, and MNM, it's an absolute demolition. MC's now caught. He gets knocked up. The Crescent Guard means nothing. Chasey being run out of the jungle by Sof. Tempt's coming down, but I don't think it'll make any difference at all. Third turret of the game.
We already see bounties on the side of X7. They're looking so scared. They're looking so disoriented. You mentioned that how can X7 stabilize, right? And the first thing is you cannot get caught like this in mid. You're playing Esther Braum. You're playing such safe champions with the Ahri as well. You're supposed to be able to buy time, but the more you get caught like this, the less control you're gonna have of the game. And now it's honestly, it's just in MNM's hands, right? X7, they can still make the comeback. They still have these like kind of godlike solo lanes in terms of Chasey, in terms of Tempt. They have the Attila, which, shout out to Arkham, you know, the 26-minute rule, but I don't think that applies here.
Well, they're going to have to at least not keep falling deeper in the hole if they want it to apply. Kassin gets hooked, and I think he thought he was going to be okay because the Glacial Fissure would buy space until it is destroyed by the Blade Whirl.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue about that hook. I've seen worse hooks actually, you know, not...
True, it wasn't quite as egregious as some out there.
But after this, right, you know, we didn't see that on replay there, but Braum gets caught, okay, fine. I don't think you lose the whole mid tower for that, but then MC gets caught as well, and then it's just going downhill from there. And I really want to see now, X7, you know, they have really experienced player on their roster. They kind of have to do the same thing as I have to do right now, is take a breather,
Okay,
chill
well,
down.
see what I want to see right now is how everyone else at home is watching the NLC. Hashtag NLC at home. Shout out to mental support. I'm sure you appreciate that one, MTS. The NLC is the only thing that can beat a sunny day. Look at that, looking absolutely gorgeous outside. Really is a nice time to go touch some grass, or at least mow it. Keep your gardens nice and neat, people.
That's basically like when your mom tells you to go out and you just open the window. You know?
Yeah, just take your laptop outside and watch the NLC. Watch it on your phone, use that mobile data. That's the way forwards. Still, lovely to see how the rest of you are watching at home. Do continue to use that hashtag. We'll throw up some more tweets throughout the day to see how the rest of the fans at home are continuing to enjoy the league here on the second day of summer. Checking back in with the game, though, it is about a 5,000 gold lead, just shy, more like 4,500. This Tempt being chased away from this tier 2, does dodge out from the dredge line and gets away from that hook, but now maybe they've dived. This happened in Spring as well. MNM, you can't lose like this. This is what happened when they threw their massive lead back in the early round robin of Spring, but this time it will only cost them one. Mishigu, though, is shut down. It's a kill going over to none other than Attila as well, who is much needing that gold.
Yeah, and it's just the downside, right, of playing like this. Obviously, I really respect the way that MNM is playing, but by doing what Mishigu has been doing this game, you're kind of giving up CS, not for free, because you're kind of investing it, right? But now when Attila...
Tempt takes a lot of damage, does get out of the gravity field, needs to continue walking, but does, with the charm, prevent too much more. Apologies, that was the Everfrost, rooted, not jumped.
Oof. Okay, so Attila, as I mentioned, 40 CS up on this SJ because he's just been kind of chilling on bot while MNM has been making plays elsewhere. And now when he gets that shutdown goal, he's gonna be super, not as strong still. They still have a kind of long way to go actually, 14 to 5 in kills, but I talked about stabilizing, right? And this is how you do it. You calm down the game. You have so many experienced players. Attila, you know, has to be able to calm his players down. Now, when he has 2 items, I think he can relax his team a bit and say, guys, just give me 1 more item, I'm gonna carry this.
Well, there's the transformation on the Muramana as well, and you're right. Those CS discrepancies have kind of been built up in bot side. Chasey's lost his a little bit, unfortunately, because he was a long, long way ahead until that pressure got rotated from bot side towards the top side. But that gold lead was 4.5, looking more towards 5,000, now down to more like 3,500. Yes, MNM in a strong position in this game, but we've seen bigger mid-game leads thrown before. We've seen bigger mid-game leads thrown by MNM before. They aren't at Soul Point yet, they aren't at Soul yet, minute and a half to that point, and I think they have a chance to really stamp this game well out of X7's control if they can get that dragon and maybe get a couple kills after it as well.
Yeah, and you're speaking about dragons, right? I mean, it's kind of not lucky, but good for X7 that they managed to get at least 1 early Drake. Means that they can just kind of slow down for a bit more. And imagine MNM would already have Soul Point now in 1 minute. It would be kind of a disaster. And yeah, I mean, just looking at the board now, Tempt just finishing the Sonias, right? I'm just curious to see. I'm pretty sure that X7 just kind of comfortably outscales this one, so I think it's kind of MNM. Although I will say that they have the GP, they have the Victor, right? It's gonna be about execution as well, and we saw actually in the topside fight earlier, when they went for the invade, X7, Kalem just kind of, he just kind of popped off with the barrels.
Let's get away from that, though. MNM were looking into the blue side jungle, and I appreciate you pointing that out. Of course, 2 items now complete for Kalem, but on the other side, still yet to see a second item from Mishigu, yet to see a second item from Camera, and that is a big deal when you've got this Soul Point fight coming up, and Tempt and Attila have got their 2 items in inventory already. If X7 want to fight, that item discrepancy point is probably the best they're gonna get. 30 seconds until a Soul Point fight, X7 are ready to contest.
Yeah, and oh, that poke on Mishigu is gonna be big. I'm not sure if MNM is going to be able to contest this next midway. X7 are just posturing up really aggressively, and while MNM they do have access to the river first. We see actually a top wave on X7 side as well. They could just look to drop the Drake and do that, but I don't think they want to. They want to contest this.
Well, speaking of poke back, though, barrels, that's 2 in a row. Kalem having a fantastic game on the gangplank despite some earlier problems. Using the cannon barrage to prevent an easy take of the mid lane, but they'll still push it through. They are deciding to trade out this soul point for a shove through mid. Will not be able to get the tier 2, but they will claim the tier 1 and the gold it means for them. They are trying to bring that advantage back and look to fight another day. 5 minutes until a soul fight. That might be the point that this game breaks well and truly in favor of MNM.
Yeah, and this is just what kind of the smarter teams do, right? They know when they can contest and they cannot, and they just make sure that they set up their silence in advance. Now, MNM, they have to give up 1 or 2 kind of freeways on the top side. Of course, KLM able to save, not the mid tower, but at least the way with his cannon barrage. But now MNM on soul point, but the gold league has decreased significantly in the last 5 minutes.
It very much has, and of course, part of that is the fact that Mishigu has struggled to find areas on the map where he is being funneled CS, and that is often a team discussion, really, when it comes to AD carries, because you don't get to be on the map for free at this moment, and AD carries are vulnerable to people like Gwen and Ari and Jin Zhao jumping on you and making your life a horror. Speaking of being jumped on, Chasey did go across the wall with a skip and slash, but has got a hallowed mist.
Tempt is on a flank.
But Tempt's on a flank, and that means Mishigu needs to be a little afraid. Tried to read a dash, will not land the charm as a result. MC taken so low, but goes in and just gets deleted. I'm not sure about the decision making now. Hook onto Chasey. Means he's dead. It's a double kill. Mishigu absolutely tears apart a few more health bars. No one else is dead, but you've lost your jungle, you've lost the top laner, and it's 24 minutes into the game, and the Baron is alive. MNM find everything they want in that play.
It looks so good initially for X7. No one died in their initial engage from MNM. They're really like a burst team, but they're gonna contest this Nash. Mishigu really low on the Samira. Are they gonna be able to tempt?
Shredder do, misses the dredge line, tries to read that one out. Charm lands onto camera, takes a lot of damage, but he's not dead. The kick in though! Sof finds Attila! It's a double to Mishigu, and MNM will do what they could not do in spring and look to put X7 in the grave.
It's so easy for teams to get scared. You see, you have so many people low, but MNM, they don't hesitate. They know exactly they have to turn. And while it's not going to secure them, the Baron, they are now up 4K, up once again. And Attila, you know, still has flash, but Sof doesn't care. He just managed to find him with the kick.
And I want to see Attila. He doesn't, at least on this replay, doesn't have the flash. I don't know as a spectator, because in real, he seemed to have it up, but honestly, I thought after that charm lands and the health bars get so low, it should have been good. But Sof, what a phenomenal kick!
Yeah, man, that is I'm just kind of speechless at this point. I see MNM, they're kind of having MVP performances on all around the board. I mean, Chimera just been kind of solid, dishing out the damage, making sure he's not getting caught in laning phase and in mid game. KLM had a struggling early game phase, but been able to pop off in his fights, hitting multiple barrels, and obviously Mishigu so snowball on the Samira, Shredder hitting so many hooks, Sof there with kind of a game-winning kick. Honestly, I mean, they're just playing super well all around.
Didn't get the Baron though, so maybe I was perhaps a little over-eager in saying MNM have got this game, but it feels increasingly like they do. And this is the team, right? MNM, in their interviews before we got to this, is maybe we're going to have to leave that point aside as the fight's going. Kasing's caught out. He's going to die. He's dead, but that's TP not going to get punished. It costs the flash out of KLM, but nothing more. And X7 forced out of the river, support down again. I'll bring it back, finally. I'll have this discussion. Because MNM in their interviews were saying, look, we might not be the best mechanical players on paper, but my God, are we on the same page? And it has shown this game, going up against arguably the most mechanical team in the whole of the NLC. Baron started again, X7 looking to contest.
Yeah, MC doesn't have the flash right, but can access this Nash with his Sinsa, but MNM, sure, they must be forced to turn this again. Tempt.
But that's a big charm. Shredder taken very low, but a knock-up on Attempt, who's having to run away. It's a 1-for-1 right now, but Mishigu gets 2. The jungler and top laner fall once more. 22 kills to 7.
They look so disciplined, man. They, like a lot of teams, I'm sure they would just try to maybe flip the Nash, try to just get it and get out, but MNM, they know that they don't want to 50-50 this. They know if they give up a Nash to X7, they're going to be able to stabilize the game and probably going to be able to, you know, outscale
Attila gets a stop onto Mishigu. That could be big. It's 50 seconds till the Dragon. Now Mishigu hasn't reset. He's not going to be in a position to get back before the Dragon spawns, and I wonder whether X7 will look to contest. MC dead for 5 more seconds. Kalem over the wall, lands a monster barrel onto Attila, who will be drinking from the bottom of one at the end of this one. It feels like needs something stiffer in his mug right now, because it has been a beating this game for the superstar AD carry being imported into the NLC. Everyone back alive. 20 seconds till a soul point for MNM, but it is MNM's one to lose right now. They are so in control. Just look at Sof's scoreline. Look at Sof's infantry. This Lee Sin can do no wrong.
Yeah, no, for sure. The X7 must be scared. The good thing is, though, they have access to the reinforcement, but Attila gets bursted.
Attila takes 2 barrel chains in a row. I praise Sof, I need to praise Calum. These barrels have been filled with nuclear warheads. It has been practically a crime against the Geneva Convention. How ruthless they have been. The damage is on another level right now. Attila at least managed to heal up off the Grump. But if more of those barrel tubes keep landing, it's going to get very difficult. Temp steps forward, gets a charm, but Calum will orange, and a blade will prevent too much more damage. Temp still got the ultimate running for now. Chasey taken low, but has got a hallowed missed by Space Dragon going low, down to 2,000 HP, but in goes Sof, gets a kick, secures the soul. Mishigu running through the back of them all. Blade Wells galore, Inferno triggers galore, and he'll shoot them all down. A team fight win for MNM. Chasey alone remains to mourn the passing of X7. They have surely lost this game.
Everything goes right for MNM. They hit the barrel. Sof gets the seal onto the Drake, and after that, they just clean up for Mishigu and the gang. Now they're finally going to be able to, most likely, they're for sure going to be able to secure this Nashor as well. I mean, it just looks so dire for X7.
I'll call it out. They did at least stop the soul going over. I thought Sof had got it, but all he got was the kill.
Okay.
Either way, soul not gone, but that is a silver lining. That's all it is. And it is some mighty thunderclouds you're finding that silver lining in right now. Baron secured, Medjai's in inventory, a Mastercard Baron power play to come. And X7, their backs are well and truly against the wall. They were the #1 team from last split. They were EU Masters champions, hopefuls. They were looking to do it all, and now looking down the barrel of a 0-2 start to summer. Let's have a look at this fight.
There's just so much poke on the side of MNM. You know, one laser from Chimera hitting, gets the ulti off. Calum has the ulti as well, hits the barrel, multiple barrels actually. MC kind of getting caught in almost every single fight we have seen so far. He does manage, as you mentioned, get the Drake, but I mean, look at Mishigu, man. He's just kind of flying over the map. What is this guy doing?
When they named Samira's Q Flare, I think this is what they meant, because it has been a stylish game from the AD carry of MNM. 11-1-9.
I mean, like, honestly, man, I'm just gonna mention, when I play Samira, even if I get fed in lane, in mid-game there is some button that I press and I just get completely caught in the fight, right? But Mishigu has been super patient in this fight. This is what you have to do with Samira. You can't just go headbutt first time and go into the fight, right? But Mishigu is really patient and able to clean up every single fight. Now MNM onto the siege on the tier 2. Surely X7 has to give its one up.
Between Samira and the OG of that particular mindset, Lee Sin, aka Lee Syndrome, still make it work for MNM. Very patient, very appropriate. So much damage coming through again, and they'll just force them off. They won't overchase. That patience, that discipline you called out, proving them very well in this game as Attila takes another barrel chain. Inhibitor down. It's 30 minutes into the game, and MNM just continuing to push in, continue to turn the screws as X7 are bleeding out.
Yeah, it's looking really rough, and honestly, that's kind of the thing. We have now 10,000 gold lead onto MNM. If it was any other team than X7, I would call this just a quits. I just hope that MNM is able to close this out. The thing why I'm just, you guys hear me oohing all the time whenever Calum hits a barrel onto Attila, but he's been doing it so consistent onto a champion like Esther. It's not easy, man.
It's really not, and honestly, it's been really impressive stuff. Like Shredder early on, just heat-seeking hooks. He's 1-2-22. Like, this guy has had a phenomenal game.
Cast the curse.
It's a Zhonya's. It's not a stopwatch. It's a Zhonya's. So there is at least that.
That's so funny.
But still, cast a curse is a real. Flip it, ship it. It's my fault. I'm sorry. Bad juju aside, MNM continuing to use the last 20 seconds of this Baron to take even more gold. There's bounties everywhere. There is so much to do with. Chasey is going to try and split push away and get a tower back, but what's it going to cost them? Does at least get that one, but it's a 4v5, a knock-up onto MC, who's just dropped into a gravity field. He's gone. He's dead. He's deleted. Kasing survives. Chasey teleports into the base, but he's not going to be able to defend anything. Tower's down. In goes Mishigu. Will not be able to secure the kills. Goes into a golden state, courtesy of a stopwatch. Taken low, but not down. X7 forced back from this inhibitor for now. The remains of the needlework now thrown out, but it is trying to cut down a mighty forest with a tiny pair of scissors. You're gonna be there for a goddamn while. Third inhibitor falls. MNM onto the Nexus towers. X7 looking down the barrel of a 0-2 and MNM. It's gonna be sweet, sweet vengeance, surely, but not quite yet, as they will pull back just for now.
I mean, I thought for sure MNM would go for the end there, right? But X7 managed the wave clear in the end, and they buy themselves some time, but at what cost? We now see the Drake coming up in 30 seconds. Surely both teams has to contest it. They don't have time to base initial.
They really don't. They really, really don't. Chasey getting run down. Mishu taken pretty low, but will not quite secure it. Hook from Shredder! Of course he finds it, but what about the turnaround? Kasing is dead. Chasey trying their absolute best, but he cannot snip anyone down to size. They get one, but it's only the Nautilus. Tempt on 5 HP. He falls down as Calem gets that one. And now Attila must do it all in a 1 versus 4. And I just don't think he has it. It's ironic when you name yourself after the greatest Hun that you are facing down a horde of minions and MNM players. He's back to the fountain. He's back to the drawing board. MNM will win this game against X7.
Super impressive all around the board for MNM. They played super well in individual on every single champion. And I mean, just like kind of outclass of X7. They just look completely disoriented. And I mean, what an upset for MNM. Kudos to you guys. Well played.
Hats off, rounds of applause. This is a team that said, look, we might not be on the same level as some of these other teams mechanically. Look at that game again, tell me otherwise. Come out of that one with your heads held high. From the turnaround on the level 1 invade, it was all MNM all day.
I'm gonna be honest, man. We had Chimera on the interview on Monday, and he said they're gonna be able to watch out for it. They have to, and I didn't. Obviously, I just love to hear that. And when you're able to back it up as well, man, respect.
It's so sweet. And look, don't get me wrong. This is an X7 team that hasn't practiced that much together yet. Has had Tempt just fly in, so there's a lot of stuff going on there. This isn't X7's final form. Even so, they do a fantastic job here, do MNM to bring them down. We're going to throw to the analyst desk to take it away from here.
Thank you so much, Initialize. This was something. I never saw this episode of the Ninja Turtles because this Shredder was completely a menace, and you were talking about it throughout the entire game.
Yeah, I was very impressed by his play, actually, the Nautilus. Because it started from the minute 1, actually, because the X7 team tried to go for this late invade, which is pretty safe when you have Braum, because Braum passive level 1, obviously, very, very OP. But Shredder finds this crazy hook at an angle that actually makes them win this fight. Even though Kyler moved on to help there, they were actually winning that 3v3 because of that insane hook. And then also, like how the game progressed, top lane was a disaster for MNM. But Shredder's use of his lane prio managed to salvage the situation and got the GP back into the game. And we saw the GP's barrels later on. He actually had a huge impact in the team fights. And I think Shredder was a big part of why he was able to become that strong.
Because not everybody talks about the supports, but this support did something this game really important. But tell me,
where is the button? We need to talk. We need the button, because I gave the benefit of the doubt to X7, losing to a JDXL that played like absolute demons on Monday, and I'm like, wow, this team looked like on fire. X7 lost, sure. But now they're playing against MNM. They're playing against the team that always dances with the devil of relegation. Every single season they're in the NLC. You're playing against one of the lowest teams in the league, and you're bringing in this performance. Yes, I am pressing the crisis button, because this is not what I'm used to seeing from MC. This is no excuse for Tempt to come in, literally arrived yesterday in Europe, might have jet lag, might not, and being your best performing player in the team. Chasey has not showed up yet. Kasing looks lost. Attila is trying to do things, but he's only playing Ezreal, right? He's not on a Jinx or an Aphelios. And it just seems so difficult for X7 to just find their footing, find their style. And this is not to say that, oh my God, X7 is going to get lost completely. The championship was just a fluke. It was just one season. No, I think they just need to go back to the drawing board and see how they want to play the games with the pawns that they have this season on this chessboard, because everything has been shuffled around.
And I really want to get the visual aid of what you were talking about, Finn. I do believe we have that replay of the beginning of the game that pretty much solidified what happened. There you go. So this is a late game. This is perfect. And there you go. Shredder finds a good angle. And from here on, X7 got lost.
Look at this hook, man. It was so clutch and so clean. And I said this in the green room as well, but I really dislike this GP sacrificing his own lane for this defense because
It was not needed there.
He was maybe needed there, but either way, GP against Gwen, this matchup is decided on the first levels.
Yes.
So if GP is not there on the wave, pressing his Q button on repeat, Glock, Ras proc, he will not be able to control the lane. So it does make me a bit sad that he couldn't actually use his pick very well, but as I said, Shredder, the beast on Nautilus, managed to help him get back into the game and was smooth sailing from there for the
You brought
Pirates.
something, I think you forgot about it in the green room, that the GP lane was completely busted. You were talking about that. And Shredder came from the bot lane to make sure that the lane was not frozen, that it would be able to help the GPs, so Gwen would do Gwen stuff. So there's a lot of map awareness coming in from Shredder in this game.
Yeah.
It's not only the hooks.
Yeah, and especially for Herald, which is such a key objective these days.
You kept saying, this is X7's Herald.
Yes,
This is-
okay.
Tell them why it was X7's Herald.
So GP is stuck on a turret. He has no mana, no corruption potion stacks. Gwen just came from base, tip it back. She has, I don't know this item, we got Leeching Leer.
Yes.
That's a Leeching Leer. Full top prio. This GP is out of the game. It should be a completely free Herald for X7. Then this beast of a man, Nautilus, just walks up to it and gets it for MNM. I have to wonder a little bit, where was the Braum for X7? Like, why were they not making a plan around this Herald? Because their top lead was so big. Maybe there was some communication issues. Maybe they didn't communicate. Okay, top gap is so big right now. Guys, just come and we get the Herald. Stuff like this needs to be communicated. And I'm a bit disappointed that X7 couldn't get this Herald, because I think it really was theirs.
Yeah.
It really was theirs, yeah.
Okay, as much as I was disappointed in X7, I think this iteration of MNM, I really enjoy seeing Mishigu come back. Mishigu is like, I have two modes. I'm either going to play Ziggs or I'm going to play Samira in your face. And he looked really good. The entirety of MNM looked good. The bot lane looked particularly good. And I just want to bring up a dragon fight that I think completely sealed the deal for the entire game. It's this fight where X7 have complete control of the bot side of the map, but you see how huge the victor is at zoning away members for X7. X7 do not particularly have any hard engage, and once the Ahri has been taken out, you see that Gwen is being zoned away by the victor ultimate. Zinza cannot do nothing but just die after his ultimate has gone down. And look at how free spins that Mishigu Samir is getting this entire game. And after that, they also stroll all the way to the top side to get the Baron. Of course, finish the game through all the pressure that they get from the buff. But I feel like it was clean from MNM. Like, I felt like I had this head scratch with Sof, where he like dies level 3 into the enemy jungle, and he gives a shutdown. I'm like, your GP sacrificed his lane. Finn lost hair over GP sacrificing his lane, so your Lee Sin can be 2-0, and then you move in without prio and you lose your shutdown to MC, you know? So it was a little bit of disaster, but they pulled it back, and I think this iteration of MNM also looks really good, but you know, I'm holding a very small basket because we set up for MNM last split, and it didn't go that well. But
it's not only about X7 slipping up, it's also about MNM stepping up. And this is why we have an interview with Sof, the jungler, coming in from MNM. How are you doing? So yesterday we talked a little bit privately, and you told me, I mean, we lost, but we're feeling good. We're feeling really good. How are you feeling now?
I mean, we're still feeling good, of course. There's progress to be made, but it's nice coming back from with a win this week, you know. We were a bit worried about, after yesterday, potentially going 0-2 on the week, but we made sure it didn't happen. So, you know, we get our off day tomorrow, taking a win. So, yeah, we're definitely happy.
Especially against X7. And we need to look into this game in the way you guys played in the early game, especially in the jungle. Yeah. You guys were waiting for the late invade, weren't you?
Yeah. I mean, they have an insanely strong level 1. It's Ezreal Braum with a jungler who can follow up, right? So we kind of thought they'd late invade. So we warded both entrances. They actually went from the tri-bush, but then we caught them. They swept the ward, but then they walked back in too quickly. The division phase saw them, so we brought GP down. We were talking about it from 0-0 anyway, that they were probably going to go for it. And if they we were just going to bring GP. You know, he's going to have to sack a bit on top, and it sucks. But after the late invade, they're going to be pretty, you know, bad on bot side of the map. Basically, Zin's going to be really behind in tempo. So yeah, we were planning it from the start for sure.
Well, I want to personally welcome you back to the NLC, first of all. We did miss you, and I really do hope we see your Zach again at some point in time. And I want to ask you, how is your synergy on the top side of the map? Because I know you guys have played together prior.
Yeah. I mean, we played together last year in Resolve, right? I mean, we had a lot of issues that split for sure, but we've all grown a lot since then. And I think my coach Carrickle, he built this team on a good, healthy atmosphere, a good environment that we can all play in. We've all got the same ideals. We're double blocking, almost every day. We know that. On paper, the roster may look like it's rated low, right? Like the players individually, all five of us are rated a bit lower, but we're putting in the work so we can do good in the split. The atmosphere is great, so we're just working hard to get where we want to be. So yeah, it's a great team.
It's
Okay,
good to know.
To wrap it up, Sof, because I want to let you go and celebrate. What can we expect from MNM in the future after this victory versus X7?
I mean, I don't want to reveal too much, but I mean, next patch is
next?
changing a lot. Next week is changing a lot. I think we play Veneer and Riddle next week, but it's a completely different patch, so it's going to shake things up. We've got some stuff like in the woodwork, but we haven't yet started fully scrimming on the next patch. But it's definitely going to be spicy, yeah.
Okay, it's going to be spicy.
Maybe the blob is going to come back. You never know.
The blob is back?
The blob is going to be good, I think, next patch.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Sof. Go celebrate, and
Yeah,
congratulations
thanks,
on this
yeah.
victory, man.
Thank you.
I gotta say, I love him. I had an interview with him, like one-on-one, talking yesterday. Like nobody was recording, just me and him. And has a lot of a great personality. He's feeling comfortable at the NLC. He's good to be back as well. And getting a victory versus X7. Well, okay, Finn, when you get a victory versus someone that nobody expected and you pop off, how do you feel?
I mean, you're in dopamine paradise, frankly. Right? Yeah, it's just the best feeling, just seeing them suffer and getting the win over them. It's just
It's not about you feeling good. It's about
Making
seeing
them
them
suffer.
maybe I'm a bit maybe I'm a sadistic, but that's just how it is. It just feels so good to defy expectations and just tell people, wow, you guys are really wrong. We were way better than you thought, and here's why.
And it's the best way to say goodbye to a patch as well. So they can finally look into this new one on the next week and they can say goodbye to certain picks. And you were talking about the blob. Trouble.
I mean, I know Sof plays a pretty mean
Yes.
Zach, and I cannot wait to see if he's actually going to come back with it, because you heard him say it. He says the blob seems pretty strong right now, and Zach pulls off one of the best ganks from literally 3 screens away. So that'd be a really good opportunity to get your laners ahead.
It's a way to jump into the game, get some victories, and we're going to jump into the second interview. It's on the X7 side. It's Attila that is waiting for us. Attila, meu irmão, welcome back. It's a pleasure to finally get an interview with you. Obviously, it's not in the best of ways. How are you feeling, Attila?
I'm feeling quite, not even sad. I'm just feeling a little bit disappointed about like overall the results of this week and just okay overall, right? Like I cannot feel happy. I cannot feel sad. Like it's just disappointed.
You were not expecting me, were you? You were
I
not
wasn't,
expecting me to be
actually.
the host, were you?
Yes.
Okay, we go way, way back, everyone. Looking into the Ezreal, 2 times in a row with the Ezreal, are you feeling comfortable, or is this something that the team requires you?
Not really. It's just like a comfort pick. It's like I think by double the amount of games, my most played champion overall my entire career as an esports player. And in both games, I think it really did fit very well into the draft. Just like the execution was not optimal, I'll say, and yeah, it just didn't look as good as it should.
Well, first of all, I want to also welcome you to the NLC. Thank you for joining
Very
us. And
much.
of course, in no other team other than the champions, the previous champions of the NLC. Now, coming into this team, of course, there was a huge reshuffle from what you saw from the European Masters, right? Top lane, jungle, and you joining the team. It's a complete different shuffle. It's a complete different play style. And we heard a lot about, you know what, we're getting unconfirmed picks, like obviously you on your infamous Ezreal. We had MC onto his Nidalee, Chasey on his Gwen, and his Jace as well, but like things don't necessarily seem to be clicking, and obviously you have to be optimistic because you joined a super strong team. Now, joining this team, where do you think your strengths lie?
I think like this team mainly is like a team of really skillful players that can be like really well built around, right? Like you can just have like a lot of draft variety, and you can just play around top lane, mid lane, bot lane, and even jungle, right? MC is a great carry jungler player. So I think that's one of the main strengths of this core team foundation. Just like so far, like we didn't have like that much time. Obviously, it's kind of an excuse, and I hate excuses. So like we're just bad right now, honestly. But Like we had like the team start practicing quite late compared to the other ones, and like our Koreans arrived quite recently, so we didn't have like many games to actually play with them. And it's actually showing on our own gameplay. You know, we're not like a team, and nowadays League of Legends has evolved into a game that the better team will win, right? Like not the better players per se, even though once again I think we're playing pretty poorly.
Okay, but if I may, Attila, but if I may, even though it seems like a late start, this is a team composition that is built around for the future. You guys are investing. There's a lot of new names in the team. You are in the team. As soon as I saw Attila in the team, I'm like, ah, this is going to be spicy. This is going to be spicy. So it may be a rough patch of weeks, but you're expecting to be like first or top 2 at least at the end of the league, no?
No, I'm definitely looking forward to winning this league, which is why I'm quite upset, because I really think like compared to LFL or LVP, I think this league has quite some low level overall, which is even sadder for me because I think like we're playing really bad compared to that, right? Like I was expecting like even trying to beat the record because like a Spanish league we held the record with Giants for quite a while when I was there. So I was really expecting to actually come here, let's smurf this league out, right? But rough start so far. But I just don't think the league is as good and powerful as the other leagues. So that's why I'm hopeful we're gonna just start winning a bunch of games, and hopefully we start getting our team together. You know, like because otherwise it's just shame on us. Because as you said, like this team is meant to just go Europe side, right, and do better than the other one with Nata, Jagger, and Haru. So hopefully we just can stop inting. Like as well myself, I think I can do a much better job myself individual wise, and then I'm pretty sure once the switch just clicks for us, we'll start just being X7 and just start collecting the wins. So
it's a rough
at least
start, but let's see what happens. You know, you're built around trust. You're built around hype as well. I know you. I followed you for many years, so I'm expecting to see the Attila right back. So thank you so much for the interview, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you very much.